Magandang araw po. Good day everyone. Maayong haldaw kaninyo alam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you, and may the grace and mercy of God be upon us all. Warmest greetings to my CES community, CES paragons, resource persons, guests, and my gratitude to our officer in charge, Executive Director Maria Marcy Cosari Ballesteros, and sa lahat po ng mga masahang kawani ng Career Executive Service Board. Salamat po for this rare opportunity to share in this Career Executive Service Lifelong Learning for Leadership Congress as we celebrate the 47th founding anniversary of the Career Executive Service. To start with, let me share to you the words of Albert Einstein. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Also, please let me recall my high school learning in algebra that has been a guiding life hack for me. Simplify the equation. Those who have worked with me in the Department of the Interior Local Government may have heard me saying on occasions this line: contextualize, simplify, apply. The essence, therefore, of this presentation is simplicity and living simply in coping with the uncertainties and the challenges amidst these trying times of the pandemic, to not only survive, but also to thrive. Disclaimer lang po, this is not a success story, for ours is still a work in progress. But yes, this is a family story, a pandemic family story of me, the poor, and my stay-at-home family. My wife, Marinelle, our eldest, Aphrodite Bjork, our second, Athena Gwyneth, our only son, Jahan Oswald, and our youngest, gifted to us after 50 long years, our princess, our Aurora Rivendell. We Visayans may have heard this a lot of times from our mothers. Kaon bisan unsa, para mabuhi ka kung magubat ugma. Which translates to, eat anything in order to survive should war breaks out tomorrow. This I have heard a number of times from my late mother, which I have brought to our family as a family mantra. This could have originated from a generation that experienced World War II. In our house, this means live simply and prepare for any eventuality. Who could have foreseen that a pandemic will hit humanity in 2020? Although we have had the 2018 Spanish flu before, but really, who could have prepared for COVID-19? Let me backtrack a bit for some pre-COVID-19 antecedents that may have helped us cope with the pandemic. We start with our house construction. This is our house. We fondly refer to her as the climate change adaptive dwelling. It's a cross between traditional Filipino stilt house design. Well, if some of us could still recall the design in the provinces where animals could be kept downstairs, and that of the bahay kubo. We choose this design for the reason that our area is flood prone, and the bahay kubo is aerodynamic, suited and tested for a tropical country like ours. We rejected the bungalow and other Western designs meant for temperate climates. We believe that these designs are energy vampires. You see, our children grew up in a household without air conditioning. This is a conscious choice in order for us to reduce our carbon footprint and at the same time save on the bills. Our children, therefore, are accustomed to the mosquitero or the mosquito net. In a house without air conditioning and as aerodynamic as the bahay kubo, air flows freely in and out our air vents and even our steel main door. And mosquitoes are notorious air riders. This is why, like Aurora here, the mosquito or the mosquitero becomes a must. I am pretty sure many of us listening may have their own mosquitero story days to tell. It was no big deal for us, therefore, when the news broke out that COVID-19 loves air conditioning. Our children also grew up in a household that practiced waste segregation. We've started this practice since 1998. In fact, this seemingly simple act of responsible waste disposal, my wife and I largely attribute our children's discipline to have been honed from home-based proper waste management. And Discipline is something that is paramount in these trying times. We wish also to share that in our house design, our compost pits are already incorporated in the building structure where we could dispose of our biodegradables. These pits are coupled with ponds for rainwater impounding, where we raise turtles and African hito. From the ponds, we get nutrient-rich water for our plants, and on the other hand, our turtles and African hito help us dispose of kitchen wastes like fish in trails. We also raise parawakans, meet Salahuddin, Umar, and Ishmael. They help us with our kitchen and table excess. Our children grew up taking public transportation in going to and from school, and they are proudly schooled in our public school system. Again, this is conscious choice. We believe that inclusivity is better experienced than taught. We also believe that this will help build in them grit, adversity resilience, emotional maturity, and social adaptability. This, we believe, help prepare us in coping up with the challenges of the pandemic brought by COVID-19. In 2017, Manila and I and our children decided to grow and produce our own food. The marching order is simple: to free our household from the bondage of the grocery and to consume food that we know where they come from, thus help ensure we are consuming healthy food. It's a tall order, but we are pleased with every milestone. First, we made inventory on our kitchen needs, and for each that we are able to produce ourselves, we declare independence. For instance, for the past 2 years, we are already free from buying ginger. In northern Mindanao, ginger already costs 160 per kilo on average, and we could just smile in relief because ginger is very easy to grow. Our ventures include a humble crude fish trap for our household's seafood requirements. It is called the Bountiful, which we constructed with a trusted fishing associate in Pangal Bay. That's in my area of responsibility, the province of Lanao del Norte, the land of beauty and bounty. Then we also established our container garden at home. It is at the rooftop of my wife's tindahan with an area of only 40 square meters. Then finally, we started to develop a small homestead farm, a parcel of an heirloom of my grandparents from my father's side, which had not been utilized for farming for more than 50 long years. The bungsod did not cost us a fortune. If I could recall, we only invested around 35,000 pesos for it, plus of course the yearly maintenance costs for repairs. But for the past 2 years, it has been providing us the healthy supply of our fresh seafoods. The pecuniary returns are not that much as well, but apart from the household supply of fresh seafoods, it has provided me a time to flex my muscles at 5 o'clock in the morning, rowing and enjoying the view of Pangal Bay, to harvest the early morning catch together with my associate. At 7 in the morning, I'll have my kinilaw and tinula for breakfast. Well, it has helped sustain my sanity amidst all the stresses of the uncertainties hounding us as we discharge our duties and functions on the front lines, as well as the threat of an unseen enemy over our family. This also helped us realize that at the end of the day, money loses its value if you could not use it to buy the freshest of catch, because movement restrictions will not allow it. In our container garden, we have grown household supply of lettuce, lemongrass, cucumber, pichay, lofa, spring onions, chili, kangkong, ginger, and even sakura and herbs. We also grow companion flowers. This has kept our family, who religiously abide by the community quarantine protocols, busy. one thing leads to another. And after 6 months, following the declaration of a national health emergency, container gardening also influenced their kitchen preferences. Thus, we now could enjoy a variety of homemade salad, veggie spaghetti, and other healthier food choices. I fondly call these gastronomic delights the pandemic dividends. Our homestead farm of 1.6 hectares is diversified and integrated, where we put into practice our faith in regenerative agriculture, biodynamism, and respect for biodiversity. It provides us with our meat requirements, vegetables, root crops, and fruits. Well, it is not meant for commercial production, rather it is for self-sustenance towards our grocery-free goal for our household. We consume, the excess we sell. When COVID-19 struck and people got the plant syndrome, as I would like to call the plantito and plantita phenomenon, we knew we were on the right direction. How did we start, and how could you start your own journey of living green and thrive amidst the pandemic? We could borrow some life hacks from Stephen Covey, from his 1989 book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and well, there's also the 8th habit now. Well, first, as Covey says, begin with the end in mind. Referring to our homestead, our end in mind is a place where we could live a healthy lifestyle by enriching the soil and growing our own food. We have built, therefore, our bahay kubo, one that my wife and I could very well be comfortable and adjusted long before my retirement from public office. We have planted what we call the healing crops, those that are loaded with antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins, so that as we grow older, we will not be dependent on synthetic medicines and pharmaceutical maintenance. We have fruits like mangosteen, mulberries, miracle fruits, oranges, lemons, and other fruits, and a host of vegetables and root crops. We also have the basics for our favorite recipes in the kitchen, like spices, ginger, turmeric, black pepper, basil, oregano. Stephen Covey also says, be proactive. Instead of reacting to every negativity surrounding our existence amidst the pandemic, we have considered this an area of concern to us which we have no control of. Thus, we shifted our worries of uncertainty and has given premium where we could do our best with our means of influence. Part of this is to provide space for our Aurora and our children to balance her and their exposure to gadgets. To find the need for our children to learn the beauty of getting soil, of growing food, and of enjoying the splendors of the outdoors. Studies show that exposure to the elements is a good boost to the development of a strong immune system. So instead of wallowing in our worries, we fortify our body's defenses and enjoy its green moment that we have. The pandemic has put into proper perspective our view of life and what really are truly important. Stephen Covey has given us the wisdom, put first things first. Given the choice to buy a new car or buy a Carabao, we will be quick to choose the latter. We will choose the Carabao. We believe that our health depends on the health of the things we eat. In growing our own food, we make sure that as much as possible, we use natural methods, and instead of contributing to environmental degradation by the use of herbicides, of pesticides, and synthetic fertilizers, we think win-win. That is, food for us and our farm associates while enhancing the environment anchored on the importance of ecological balance and biodiversity. Covey's principle of synergy is alive as we endeavor to work in synergy with the environment in our homestead. It is situated in a mini valley, endowed and blessed with adequate water supply and cool climate. Thus, we have a lot of endemic tree species forming mini forests. Each undertaking, therefore, has to be carefully done not to disturb the ecological balance of the area, but rather to enhance it whenever possible and whenever feasible. We are now using organic fertilizer produced by African nightcrawlers that the farm now raises. Flowers are also being abundantly planted to help in natural pollination and to provide food for the bees, the small birds, butterflies, dragonflies, and fireflies at night. Their presence is our natural indicator of the health of the area's environment. Well, our goal to grow our own food has brought us a lot of experiential eurekas, learnings and affirmations of principles of life and living we already hold dear. Sharpen the saw, Covey says. Learning new skills and putting principles into practice are our means of sharpening the saw. These have helped us a lot to cope with the stressors of the times. We have learned about regenerative agriculture. We learned that the health of the soil is key to the health of our plants, that microorganisms in the soil enhance sustainability productivity. Thus, we have learned the skill to prepare our concoction of indigenous microorganisms by fermenting 1 part fish, 1 part molasses for 14 days to get fish amino acid. We have learned that weeds and grasses are not necessarily bad, but rather our friends. Instead of burning them, we compost them through our trench composters, and some we feed to our livestock. In fact, we now purposely grow certain types of grasses for our livestock and for our African nightcrawlers to produce vermicasts. We have learned that Arachis pintoi or mani-mani is a good cover crop that helps the soil enrich its nitrogen content, while its tiny yellow flowers are favorite snacks for our chickens. We have learned that azolla, which we are now abundantly growing, is such a good source of protein for our fishes and livestock. It is also an efficient oxygen producer that there was a time in this planet's past that it caused a mini ice age. We have learned that dragon fruits could be productive until more than 50 years, and that growing them is easy and very cost efficient. 100 concrete poles for dragon fruit cuttings to climb and grow will only cost around 80,000 pesos. We have learned to plant according to the natural rhythm of Mother Earth. Thus, we follow a planting calendar based on biodynamic principles. We learn to appreciate the ways of the old, when to plant and when not to plant, which after all is not pseudoscience. We're not able to explain it. But by natural law, it is basic science that the physiological development of flora and fauna in this planet is influenced by gravity and influenced by the seasons. And therefore, the push and pull of the movement of the moon and the changing of the seasons have bearing to agricultural productivity. And we have realized that the exposure of our children to all these things are valuable life hacks for them that have and will continue to prepare our children to life's challenges. So am I preparing for my retirement with all this? No, I'm not. What I have is adapting to every life transformation in order to thrive and not merely to survive. Everyone can do this. In the movie Ratatouille, the deceased chef Augusto wrote a book, Everyone Can Cook. Will I say this to you? Everyone can plant and grow too. Thank you and mabuhay. Taas noo, CESO!